hurry. But couple things. One, I looked and I saw that the light wasn't on, so we didn't go too far. And so now we're picking up a little.
We just revealed some crazy secrets.
It was unbelievable stuff.
I don't think we should do that again. Why not? Let's just.
Sure, we'll go ahead and tell you what we came up with after that. So when we last left off, I was talking about the conclusion of my little legal case thing, and you actually once our recording ended, but we hadn't realized it. You started talking about some of the moves that you made after you had your big $45,000 a day in profit.
Mm-hmm. So what I did is I was like, wow, 45 grand. Obviously, off of somebody that has a huge list. Who else has a huge list that I can make another 45 grand or more or whatever?
Yeah. Now I was curious, were the people with that 12 million person list, were they excited?
Yeah, they were really happy with it. They actually ran it a few more times later on.
And how did it go?
It didn't do as good, and the company kind of, I don't know, it was weird. The company kind of just faded away, and there's a lot of these list companies, or there were at the time, in a place called Deerfield Beach, Florida, and that's what enabled me to find out other lists and things like that. But a lot of them ended up being pretty shady people.
Really?
Yeah, like getting in trouble with the law for spam, and like these 12 million people might not necessarily have been all opted in.
Right.
Or they were opted in a way which they didn't know they were up. You know what I mean? When the box is automatically checked and they're like, we can send you anything forever.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But I didn't know anything about that back then.
Sure.
And this was before canned spam, I believe.
Oh yeah, canned spam didn't hit, and those are the laws that regulate emailing, and that didn't hit until 2003, I believe. So
yeah, I was like 2 or 3 years before that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went and found a few other list companies, and none of them ever did like that one. That one was the best one, but I had some.
Now, how did you track down other folks? Because it's a really smart move. I'll never forget when we started SoccerNet. One of the things I started doing was just calling our customers and talking to them. At David Mill's suggestion, it was a really wonderful experience. And I remember talking to a woman who. She had figured out how to do a little bit of affiliate marketing. I don't want to make things up. She may or may not have been one of your customers. I have no idea. But she was, she had done a little bit of affiliate stuff and had started making some money. But she was just an affiliate for one offer for one company, and she started making like a couple $1,000s a month. And then boom, lights out, and disappeared. And as I talked to her about it, she was just sort of in the dark. She sort of felt like, well, that was it. It was over. There's nothing more to it. She didn't go out like looking for other people's offers. She just sort of felt stuck at that point. Of course, I'm not making fun of her in any way, shape, or form, but I really realized that it's pretty easy to have a success and then to not capitalize on the momentum of that success. Because obviously, when you're going to these new folks, you were able to say, "Do you want to make $90,000?"
Right. Yeah. So I would just, and what was cool back then is. A lot of list companies would do CPA, cost per action. They would pay you. They wouldn't charge you a CPM, to send it out. They wouldn't charge.
What is CPM?
It's like cost per 1,000 emails.
Right.
So if they send out 1,000 emails nowadays, they're like, okay, pay us like $5 for every 1,000 emails, and whatever the results are, that's up to you. We don't care about that.
Right.
But back then, if they were like, okay, this looks like a good offer. We'll go ahead and do CPA on it.
Right.
And nowadays, if you do a good...
And that's cost per action.
Right.
Right.
And nowadays, if you do have a good... if your CPM is kicking butt for you, you can go to them and show them the results. And now companies will do a CPA after you've shown them that your offer converts.
So if you essentially buy leads from them, and then your offer converts, then you can come back and say, okay...
Look what it did.
Yeah, look what it did. Why don't you get it out to more people? And we'll do it more as a partnership, less as you just selling your traffic.
Right, but back then it was much easier just to go right away with CPA. I remember when CPA came out, and I was like, "This is crazy. Why would I do that?"
And how did you? I'm kind of curious, and we didn't talk about this, earlier today, but now I'm curious about it as I think about it. How did you approach these people? Did you email them? Did you call them?
Yeah, I would just email them and tell them exactly what we had just done with Virtuamundo.
And when you say exactly what you've done, can you give me a rough idea? Of course,
yeah. So I basically just went to Google, good old Google, and typed in email lists or something to that effect.
Wow.
And just found and just, did some research and found who were the people who were saying, hey, come to us and send your stuff.
I mean, you said you did some research.
Yeah, like looking at all the companies and their about us and this and that.
Okay, so simply like going to their webpage and reading their About Me page.
And they would say, okay, we have 80 million opt-in subscribers.
Sure.
We typically send them offers about, X, Y, Z, whatever
Like,
categories
we send them health,
and our demographics are people from 18 to 35, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So anybody that said they had a list in the millions, I was like, boom, I'm going to contact them. Just use their contact form.
Yeah.
Not a big deal. I wasn't like calling and trying to beat down the door and find the owner of the company. Nothing like that. I would just try to get it to the right person and just send it out to a ton.
And essentially what you said, I presume, is, I made...
I have this product, credit repair product,
Yeah.
and it converts at such and such %, and it's helped, thousands of people or whatever, and I just did a deal with so-and-so, and this is the results.
They made $90,000, or, there's $90,000 total.
I'd be willing to, if it's, I think I would go back and forth with them sometimes and have to negotiate the CPA. It wasn't always 50-50, but if they had a big enough list, I'd be like, I would take a lot less. I didn't care.
Were there some instances where you were willing to take, like when you say less, was like
I honestly,
sure.
it's been 8 or 9 years, but I know I took less than 50 sometimes.
Cool.
So,
And then what was the result of that?
they weren't as good as the first one. It wasn't always.
How many, were you able to get a number of folks to mail for you?
Yeah, I think I probably got like 4 or 5 huge ones to do it, and it worked out pretty well. But it started petering off, and like a lot of the lists.
Can you give me a rough idea? I'm sure you can't remember I know that $90,000 number is kind of emblazoned in your head because there's such a dramatic moment. What was the drop off? Was it like 50? Was it like now it's $50,000, or now it's $30,000, or now it's $10,000?
I honestly don't know. I would guess it was probably like anywhere 10 to 30,000 maybe.
Okay. So significant drop off, but still a good pile of change.
Yeah, but and it turns out like a few of them were like, that's not, they would run it and then they wouldn't run it again because it wasn't good enough for them.
Right. And you pointed out that you're very humble about this. You weren't like a great copywriter back then. You hardly even used the story.
The supposed sales letter wasn't really a sales letter at all. It was like, this is what we have. It does this. It helps you with your credit. This is how much it is.
Yeah.
It was more like a catalog, where you're just going to add it to
your
your cart.
Exactly. You're not giving them.
There was no story about me or how I'd taken people to court, anything
all
like that.
All your customers that have succeeded and so forth.
No.
None of that stuff.
None of that stuff. And so, and then later on, what I did also is instead of just selling a credit repair kit, I combined it. I called it the 3-in-1 kit, and I did a lot of research on bankruptcy and the bankruptcy laws, and I developed a do-it-yourself bankruptcy kit, which was just all the forms you needed and the instructions,
That's
just
really
all
cool.
gathered together, and I just threw that in there with it and charged the same amount.
So that was essentially like a bonus.
Yeah, and then what I also did, which is kind of cool, and this is like similar to what I did in Rich Jerk, is I added a section about how to get credit if you have bad credit, how to get loans and things like that, and all the links in there obviously got me a commission for each loan.
So that's kind of where you started developing a few of your strategies, because I just picked up on 2 major things that you're doing there. One is, adding bonuses to increase conversion,
And this is before I